The progressive era should be over if they want to start winning again.
Wow, there's that.
Earlier this month, I made a video about how Kamala Harris does not deserve my vote, and neither does she deserve your vote either, and that if she loses the election, it will be her own damn fault. This was a follow-up to another video that I made about Joe Biden back when he was running in the 2024 US election, that if he lost the election, that it will also be his own damn fault. And quite frankly, I do not regret a damn thing. I made good on this promise that I was not voting for Kamala Harris, and I lost over 20 subscribers as a result of this. And yeah, it does kind of hurt. I would have thought that my subscribers were a little bit more, keen as to why I would make this decision, even though the very real risk of Donald John Trump becoming the US president is a very real risk that could put my life and other people's lives at risk. But given that Biden and Harris have done jack shit to secure abortion and trans rights, on top of endorsing a full-scale genocide and massive starvation campaign, I regret nothing. I did go to the polls and I did vote, not on a president of course, but local politicians and local policies that do affect my day-to-day life as well as those around me. But you want to know what was not on the ballot? A fucking ceasefire! What about divestment from Israel? That was not on the ballot either. So why, with the benefit of hindsight, do I not regret not voting for Kamala Harris? And of course, I didn't vote for Donald Trump either, in case anybody wants to try to pin that on me with some gaslighting. Well, on November 20th, the United Nations had a vote with the Security Council for a ceasefire resolution. And of the Security Council, 14 nation states have voted in favor of a ceasefire. But you want to know who didn't vote in favor of a ceasefire, but instead chose to veto a ceasefire? The United fucking States. Yeah, my country. My fucking country that my taxpayer dollars go to voted against stopping a genocide. Look, the Democratic Party lost this US election, right? And of course, they have nothing to lose when it comes to the diplomatic relationship with Israel. And every time that they have had this opportunity to put a red line against Israel, saying that this is the barrier in which we're going to say that you don't deserve weapons anymore to go kill more people in Palestine, that red line has not been upheld. If the US election was still going on, and for some reason the Democrats wanted to use some hyperbolic excuse, like, oh, we can't do a ceasefire in Israel because it'll make our campaign look bad, which is not a valid reason, by the way, it would still be a reason. Like, not a good reason, but at least something. An excuse. A poor excuse, but an excuse nonetheless. They don't even have that anymore. The Democratic Party, which is supposed to be the progressive party on paper, in theory, but not in reality, chose to do a campaign where they could try to flex the muscle of the state and try to make themselves appear more authoritarian and neo-fascist than Donald Trump. They chose to try to rival Donald Trump's imperialist racism rather than to combat it with any kind of grassroots or populist message of like a ceasefire or a peace deal or something. I think if I were in Kamala Harris's position during the campaign, I would have looked at Benjamin Netanyahu's favoritism of Donald Trump, especially since he've already established Trump Heights within illegally occupied territory, and I would have said to myself, why the fuck am I working for this piece of shit who doesn't even care about my victory? And I know that's a very selfish perspective, but we're working with literal politicians who are absolutely, for what it is worth, absolutely selfish and self-centered. They only care about their wallets at the end of the day. They don't care about civil rights or social justice or liberation of the peoples that are struggling under the boot of oppression. I have had people, specifically liberals, try to gaslight me into saying that because I didn't vote for Kamala Harris, that I have blood of the Palestinian people on my hands just because I did not vote for a genocidal fucking warmonger. So, not the US ambassador to the United Nations? That person doesn't have blood on their hands? I don't think some people understand the severity of the U.S. being in the Security Council. The United States being in the Security Council, they are the only reason why this bloodshed is still happening today. They are the only reason why the United Nations has not done anything at all yet. The United States being the top dog in the imperialist game, they have the power to stop this bloodshed right now. Not strategically or anything, not like with some kind of mental gymnastics. They could stop it right now. Yet they are choosing not to. And I really did think about just the day of the election as to whether or not maybe I should try to just vote for Kamala Harris, at least better than doing nothing. But I have done more than that even in the last year alone. In the last year, I have done more organizing than I have in my entire life. I don't get to have this privileged position where I can just choose between two oligarchs who don't give a fuck about me, let alone the other people in which they govern over. Because let's face it, most of these liberal so-called quote-unquote activists are just a bunch of fucking brats on Twitch and Kick who sometimes even adopt other far-right leaning ideologies at the end of the day. So, I don't have the guilty conscience of engaging in an election where both of the options result in a genocide. Because if I did vote for Kamala Harris, I would have to live with that. That I voted for a genocide, go against my own principles, and more importantly, do so because I, selfishly, don't want to be the victim of another genocide, the trans genocide. I really don't think people understand that the Palestinian genocide that is ongoing right now is a precedent for genocide to happen to everybody else, essentially. If genocide is allowed to happen to one people group, especially in a dynamic where no matter what you vote for, that genocide is going to ensue, then we're at a situation here to where we are ostensibly saying that genocide is permissible. And if genocide is permissible, then what is telling you that genocide isn't going to happen to you too? Now, since Donald Trump won the US election, I think it's important that we always maintain and understand that it is not over. It is not game over. Liberal politicians and liberal pundits are taking one of three positions right now. Either they have adopted the far-right position of being pro-genocide themselves, they are blaming activists, organizers, socialists, anarchists, communists, or they are doomering so hard that they have decided that they are just giving up. They are letting Donald Trump win and to dominate them into submission. I'm a goddamn anarcho-communist, for fuck's sake. I transitioned because I am not giving up. You don't get to fucking decide for me as a liberal fucking bourgeois politician and goddamn up in the hills in Santa Clarita what my fucking destiny is gonna be just because your favorite fucking imperialist genocidal fuckwad didn't win the election. So, I'm not doomering. I'm gonna fucking fight like hell because I stayed alive for this. I stayed alive for me to be able to have a fighting chance. And I know that my rights are going to be stripped more and more and more every single fucking day. And guess what? They already fucking were under Democrat rule. I plan to make a follow-up video to this one because I have a lot more to say. I wanted to get this out now because I just have a lot on my chest and I didn't know how to really put it together. I have a lot of feelings and emotions of rage and anger, partially from being gaslit into oblivion by liberals in bourgeois positions. But I more than anything do not like seeing fascists and Nazis being emboldened to go on little mass shootings and little rape fests and all that shit. I don't fucking like it. And you know what? I'm gonna continue to fucking fight. Where the fuck are you gonna be? Are you just gonna sit there and watch Vosh and doom into oblivion? Or are you gonna fucking do something about it? Organize in your community, engage in mutual aid, get involved in direct action, do all of the things that are necessary to put a fucking foothold against the fucking boot of oppression. Where the fuck are you gonna be? Are you just gonna fucking sit and give up? Or are you gonna fucking fight for your fucking liberation and your autonomy and your community's freedom? Yeah, do you have friends who are at risk of being deported? Do you have trans people who are at risk of being killed? Do you have people who are in need of an abortion in your life? You need to be helping those people, not gaslighting them into voting for your favorite genocidal fuckface. We will not be accepting any more of your gaslighting. And I want to inspire every single person who is watching this. When somebody tries to blame you that they didn't win their election, that you tell them that their favorite member of the ruling class doesn't give a flying fuck about them either. And if they try to spin this on you and say, well, you must really support Donald Trump, well, you can respond by saying, you know what else is not Donald Trump? Getting involved in mutual aid and direct action. That's not Donald Trump. That's actually being there and having a fucking spine, which the liberals and the Democrats never fucking had in the first place. I regret absolutely nothing by not voting for Kamala Harris. We will win when we are united in solidarity. Thank you.